Professor Matt, thank you for inviting us and have the opportunity to spend some time with you tonight to talk about Microsoft. I think you might have heard about Microsoft. What I found as I'm the last speaker is maybe I wanted to take a different angle to this presentation and talk a little bit about the outcome and why in an industry where we talked about 30 years as a cycle, I would say the cycle for us is more 10, 15 years. You have to bet every 10 years your company on new innovation. And that drives fundamentally some change in the way we operate as a team between research, between engineering and sales and marketing. So I'm coming from an engineering background, but I spent most of my life in marketing. I have background in database to give you a little bit of the of the fundamentals. And what I wanted to start with is give you a little bit of what is Microsoft in numbers. I think I would assume that you know a little bit about what is Windows. But when you start thinking about what is Microsoft, first you say Windows 7. And you say Windows 7 was the fastest adopted operating system in the world. If you take the Fortune 500, one company, at least out of 5, is using the productivity service of Microsoft in the cloud in the form of Office 365, Exchange Online, SharePoint Online, Lync Online. SharePoint, the collaboration platform, is used by more than 70% of the Fortune 500 companies. Xbox Live is also a service in the cloud, 40 million users across 35 countries. And obviously Skype also, which is a great platform for us to reach and engage with consumers, which is now reaching more than 200 million users a month. So that's a little bit of the numbers. If I was pushing a little bit the envelope, I would say that since we released Windows 8, we've shipped more than 40 million units, which is half of the total Mac install base. That gives you a little bit of the notion of the numbers. So making sure that the experience for customers is a success. We've known that, for example, as I would say a challenge for us when we release Vista is a key element of how we can rebate our company. And when you see what we do on Windows right now, we rebate the company completely on a new vision. And I'm going to try to articulate the connection between that vision at the experience level and what we do in R&D. First, Microsoft in Asia Pacific, we have the 12 subsidiaries. They basically employ more than 2,000 employees, which are spread, I would say, from Korea down to New Zealand. This is for us not just 2,000 employees, because we have 28,000 partners. 90% of our business is done through partners, so when they are successful, we are successful. And those partners are also massively investing. That's worth, I would say, $40 billion of investment all up in Asia. That's 2.8 million IT people working within those companies. And the total IT investment in business is representing roughly 2% of the GDP in Asia. That's equivalent value of $300 billion. What's very interesting in Asia, I spent time in Europe, I spent time in the US, is the diversity. When you're running a business in Brunei, when you're running a business in Indonesia, when you're running a business in Australia, you can't say that you have similar subs. You really have to make your business, adapt your business, and make sure that each of them is considered independently. So just to start to introduce that, I've done specifically for you a quick video that I'd like to share, and that gives you a little bit of insight of what does that mean Asia, what's the opportunity. So what you've seen on this slide is that there is here a disruption, a massive disruption happening. We used to have mature countries adopting technology, and everybody was going along the same journey. Oops, if I don't... Sorry. In Asia right now, you see countries like Bangladesh using basically internet over mobile, while New Zealand is really developing a different approach over the internet. So the type of usage are really evolving, and we need to act on that. This is mainly, I would say, coming from two major trends. The number one on the left is the multiplication and the proliferation of devices. People want to get better experience. They used to have a PC. The PC remains a fundamental hub of collaboration for the information worker, but people, and mainly through their customer experience, are aspiring to get more advanced touch appliances, devices that help them to read information versus just creating, or get access on the same information on their mobile, on the internet, on the TV. And so that proliferation is even more accelerated on the right side as the cloud services are getting developed, because those ones help people to connect their data, to connect their experience, and basically have access to their information for any kind of device, which is accelerating the proliferation of device. The second element is, because this is happening, the behavior is changing. It's changing at home, obviously. You feel it, but it's changing now also at work, where companies have to implement social enterprise software. See, for us, it's like SharePoint, Yammer. You've seen this. You see more and more consumers bringing their devices at work. So they need to manage new challenges in terms of security, in terms of management of the portfolio of appliances. And by the way, they have more and more workers. Mobility is increasing, people need to connect, get the security outside of the company. That translates into a kind of social customer. And it's very interesting for me in marketing. I mean, I used to drive outbound marketing. We've done this for years. Now it's 60% of my mix of marketing is inbound marketing. Because my customer doesn't come to me to tell me, I'm interested by your product. They go to talk. They go on the internet, they go on social enterprise, and they get a very strong point of view on your technology before they talk to you. So that's something we need to embrace. And it gets to the point, as I was mentioning there, is that you see 44% of customers complaining don't come to you to tell you. They go on the social media and they spread the word. So not only you need to listen through your technology, but you need to act on it. Which is going to bring the third slide, which is how I bring the problematic of today, which is data are exploding. We talk about big data now. 10 times the multiplication of the data every 5 years. It's not only data as we knew it. It's now images. It's now social media. It's now a massive amount of data circulating from data center to mobile. That's really changed the way the technology is approached. And obviously, through an approach of consumerization of IT, which is multiple device, faster and faster and faster. So I wanted to bring this and make a choice today about talking about three elements, three experiences, three developments that characterize this challenge. The first one will be about the touch, because mobility is fundamentally things which is revolutionizing the way we approach right now the devices. We're just at the beginning. What I want to say today is that it's interesting for me when we talk appliances, when we talk phone, because that's just the beginning. I mean, you'll get very soon a screen on your credit card. You'll take your ticket airplane, your boarding pass, and you'll get the map directly to go to your gate and all information embedded. The evolution of the technology and the capacity to have flexible screen is really opening new capacity in terms of experience. The second element is obviously cloud computing, which also just at the beginning. I think by 2016, we're going to just double the number of data centers in the world. So this explosion of data is also bringing some fundamental challenges in the way we manage the energy, in the way we're managing the security, in the way we're managing the storage, and in the way we're just thinking about what is a data center. Speed. Next one is social enterprise. What is the experience? Are we creating just more data, or are we creating something that people can act on it? And the last one is, as I mentioned, big data. So for us, I was mentioning this is about reinventing the company every 10 years. And you were talking about disruptive technology. I assume you've been knowing Microsoft as a software company. Microsoft has to take a big challenge. If we remain only in the software company, we know that in less than 30 years we're going to be dead. And so what we have to do is, number one, is that hardware and software, integration of the two is becoming increasingly important. I think we've been living for, I would say, in the range of 90 to 2002 in a world where software primarily was making the difference. The integration between the two is becoming increasingly important. So we're moving to the world of hardware. And you've seen the first release of the Surface. Why this is so important? Because with so many hardware manufacturers in Asia, if you don't have some leadership in the way you want to implement your vision on the hardware, you might miss the opportunity. The second element is software, but a much more complete software than in the past, because you have to integrate, as I said, the cloud, the middleware, what you see on each of your screens, which might be a mobile, a PC, which might be a TV, or a new generation of form factors. And the last part is about services, is how you basically bring those elements to life. How do you make sure that they are fully integrated, and you can support them from an availability point of view. So from a research and development point of view, we have 13 centers in the world. And for us, I think we passed the age of getting people. It's really getting the competencies now. And it's a world where each of the labs are developing technology which are used in the world. But what we noticed, if you look at basically what was the situation roughly 10 years ago, we didn't have those centers. And we were really missing opportunities when it came to localization of Chinese language of the mobile, when it came to making sure we're correctly connected with the manufacturers to develop new technology, like we'll talk webcams, or we'll talk a bit about touch opportunities. What we've seen also is that when you see the number of students coming, our centers are, I think, multiplying by 3 the number of researchers every summer. So there is a huge, huge opportunity for us to capture more mind share if we're implemented more widely in the world. I think I would complement that if we have, I'll talk a little bit about the Beijing Center and Bangalore, but we have now 27 facilities across Asia Pacific, where we have smaller teams which are also developing project by project these R&D activities. The big one in Asia is Beijing. Okay, they are specialized in natural user interface, next generation multimedia, the data-intensive computing, search and online ads, and there is huge competency in that area in China, and computer science fundamentals. All up, I would say across the 13 research centers, we have 900 researchers, which can be physicists, scientists, people doing mathematics. I mean, it's a broad range of people. And in Beijing, we have 230. So that's a substantial investment. We do $9 billion of research and development every year, and a good $400, $500 million are directly going to Beijing for their development. So let's try to take an example. I mean, this is a quick series of 3 small videos that shows you what's happening in the lab.
Hi, I'm Xavier. I'm a user experience researcher from Microsoft Research Asia. What you are seeing here is the next generation webcam, prototype. This new webcam technology can provide high accuracy depth image, which supports the new user experience with finger-controlled user interface on a PC, which shows the power of blending virtual world and physical world. The new prototype can capture high accuracy depth images in near distance. First, let's show this real depth image result in our demo. You can see my fingers and hands going into the depth image in this demo show. And then I change to the physical objects to show the same depth image results here. You can see this pig's whole shape with a depth image capture. Based on this technology, we build our user interface here. Now, let's move on to our exciting live video. Using our webcam, users can manipulate objects on the screen with their fingers at a distance. Let's introduce a little bit with the finger-controlled slingshot game. The way you control the game is just like you play with your natural slingshot game, and aim to the direction you want to shoot, then release the thing to shoot it. Now in a word, our webcam is a new combination of hardware and software in a webcam that supports new capabilities and abilities to interact with physical world and virtual world in a more natural and rich way.
Despite advances in 3D sensing and display technologies, our desktop interfaces have not changed much from 2D interactions. We'd like to present our see-through 3D desktop. A user can casually open up the desktop and types or uses a trackpad as in traditional 2D computers. Our see-through 3D desktop allows the user to directly interact with a virtual desktop. Depth cameras detect users' fingers and capture the head position, so the user can switch back and forth from 2D and 3D interactions really easily. Users can lift up his hand to reach the displayed windows and arrange them in this space. Windows or files are overlaid on your hand in 3D space. Combining finger cursor and 3D grid allows you to better manage your desktop and do everyday tasks better in the 3D space.
We use a unique Samsung transparent OLED display technology so that the user can reach through the transparent display and grab 3D object in a 3D grid. And also we capture the head motion so that as the user moves around, the user can get the appropriate perspective. This project advances research in current display technologies, hoping to provide a more natural interaction with everyday desktop computing of the future.
Hi, my name is Xavier, and I'm a researcher here at Microsoft Research. And today I'll talk to you about the project called Wearable Multi-Touch Projector, which I did in collaboration with Chris Harrison from Carnegie Mellon and Andy Wilson here at MSR. This project is guided by the idea of being able to detect and provide touch and gestures, touch and gestural interaction on any available surface. So right now in our devices, most of the interactions, or actually all of the interactions, are constrained to a particular device form factor, to the screen of, let's say, a smartphone or a tablet. We wanted to enable the same kind of interactivity, but on any available surface, on your wall, on your pad, on your arm, any surface that you happen to have in front of you. To enable this, we created a combination of a Shotro depth sensing camera and a little Pico projector here. And this combination actually allows us to simulate these interactions anywhere. So let me show you how this works. If you happen to be right in front of the wall, and if you want to get some interface there, you want to interact on the wall, all you need to do is just touch the wall, and you get something that could be actually on your smartphone, but it's not right now just projected in space on this surface. You can literally select an option from that, and then, for example, dial a phone number just the same way that you would on a smartphone. Another example is, what if we wanted to create something here? So again, touching this particular surface, you've noticed that the interface actually adapts to the surface size, and now we can use this to draw on this pad, for example. So it's not only one touch, but actually you have simultaneous multi-touch, just as you would expect from any touch-enabled application today. Lastly, I can show you another interface. No good touch application is done without a map, so let's do a little bit of zooming and panning to showcase some of that stuff. So again, the applications are just demonstrations of the possibilities of what you can enable if you have touch and gestures on any particular surface. And for us, this is enabled by this unique combination of projectors and cameras that right now are worn, but we think they can be very miniaturized in the future.
Now let me talk about why I stayed at Microsoft. Here we go. So we talk most of the time about research and development. I hear about it most of the time when it comes to pushing the boundaries of technology, making sure we have more advanced technology so we can get better scenarios. I think the previous video was illustrating that point. I wanted to take another element of what is research and development at Microsoft, which is about improving the life of people. So now we're going to start talking about things which are much more basic, solving a problem. And the one I wanted to pick is about battling tuberculosis. I mean, I don't know if you know, but tuberculosis is a disease that can be cured. You can take a 6-month cure with what we call in French the BCG. Okay, you take medication for 6 months and you get cured. 9 million of people are getting tuberculosis in the world every year. 1.4 million are dying of it. Why? You're going to get that soon. Because most of the people are taking the medication for a certain period of time and then they just stop because they feel better. And by feeling better, they react and then they get sick and they die of it. So what the team had to think about is how they implement in India, which is in the case here in New Delhi, a very simple technology that can be spread in every single city and provide the capacity to monitor over 9 million persons the cure of young people, less young, and act on it if something wrong is happening. What you see on this video is basically a simple connection between a biometric system, a software, and a cloud service. And every time people come to take their medication, they just put their finger on the biometric system. So everybody knows that they've taken their medication. And if they don't take the medication, obviously they know about it because it's in the cloud, and then they can act, and they call back the family, and they make sure people are taking their medication. 500,000 people have been saved like this with this situation during the last 6 months. So they're going to start to scale that, and they believe that they can do a massive progress in India over the next year and a half. So that's the second one I wanted to illustrate. Just to keep the time, because I know the last thing I wanted to illustrate is the problematic of a data center. So for us, it's very easy. Today, we deliver more than 200 online services to more than 1 billion customers, 20 million business, 76 markets. We know that we have more than 15 data centers in the world right now. We're going to have to double that by 2016. And we've been engaged since, I would say it's more than 10 years ago, into a long journey of managing the energy for the data center. First, we know because we cannot sustain the amount of energy. The cost also of producing the data to our consumers and the service needs to decrease. And so just to give you a few data points, it takes 9.8 million gallons of water to manage the data center every year when it's a 20 megawatts, and you're going to lose roughly 2.8 million of that water. So in countries where you don't have sufficient water, I mean, it's a bit like a loss. The second thing is that we focus at a data center is about managing a power grid, transferring the electricity, and then basically managing the servers and sending data through fibers to our customers. All the aspect of managing the power is basically a waste of time, waste of energy. So what they're inventing right now is the next generation of data center, which is zero carbon, basically emission, which is about placing the data center close to, waste centers, so they can recycle, use the biomass, use electricity coming from hydraulic, so they can basically get to the point. And we've released this year, in April, the first data center which is zero emission, which is the data plant. So what's driving within the energy is the creation a few years ago of what we call the PUE, the Power Usage Effectiveness Index, which is basically the cost of running one process in your data center from an energy point of view. And we've been able, over the last 10 years to move from 2 PUE to 1 PUE, which is, I think, one of the best in the world. And we've been recognized from a sustainability point of view for the 3rd years consecutive in the US by the EPA agency. So that's another way also of innovating and making sure that if you continue to implement for us a data center in Indonesia, data center in Malaysia, in Philippines, we have the capacity to do it in a much more sustainable way. I closed there. I talked about the new era. I talked about experience, touch experience. I talked about software, which remains for us the core, increasing services, and obviously every 10 years we'll bet our business on it with disruptive technology. Thank you.